Hello and welcome to the next instalment in our Security Middle East magazine webinars. I have to apologise for the delay. We've been having some technical difficulties with cameras and whatnot. But thank you for your patience and welcome. We've got a really exciting and unique opportunity today. We're going to be exploring computer vision and surveillance, but we've got a couple of presenters working together to explain what they mean by truly intelligent surveillance systems. I'm joined by Issam Shabani, who is a head of pre-sales and business development for MVP Tech, and Mohammed Sheikh, who is a sales director for the Middle East at BriefCam. And both of their insights, both from an installment system integration and kind of a software element, will provide some really interesting case studies and feedback and examples of how computer vision can be supercharged by artificial intelligence, and how the organizations across the Middle East can elevate their security. So, gentlemen, welcome to the Security Middle East magazine. I'll start with Mohammed. We know that BriefCam is a pioneer in this space, but would you mind just explaining what BriefCam is doing differently for making surveillance smart and AI-based?
Sure. Thank you, Dan. Welcome, everyone. I am Mohammed Sheikh. So it stems from the human limitation of our cognitive abilities. Why BriefCam came into place is because our brains get tired. We get tired. There's only so much that the human eye can notice. BriefCam takes a comprehensive approach to video analytics, supporting multiple use cases across a wide variety of verticals, accelerating investigations, attaining situational awareness, and deriving operational intelligence. The analytics platform is packaged with different products to support the needs of different environments, such as VMS or file-based, or real-time or on-demand analysis. BriefCam's platform is a perfect trifecta of complementary solutions, empowering users to transform their video into valuable insights. For instance, our review module is able to accelerate forensics video investigations by reviewing hours of videos in minutes, sometimes even in seconds, because what it does is it pinpoints objects of interest such as man, women, children, vehicles, face recognition, license plate recognition, speed, direction, dwell time, and a wide variety of other such filters. We have the respond module, which is used to attain situational awareness. Everything that I mentioned previously with our filters can be used within the respond module as well, leveraging alerts to attain better understanding of what's going on in your environment and taking immediate action. And then finally, there is the research, which is our icing on the cake, the ability to drive operational intelligence through understanding the trending and the analysis of what's going on in your environment based on the same video data that you captured during your respond module. Whether a woman walked into a storefront and how long did she dwell, or your latest marketing campaign, what was the return on investment? Was it effective enough to draw in more people? These are the sort of things, these are the sort of questions that BriefCam can answer. This is how BriefCam differentiates itself in the market, transforming existing surveillance investments into actionable intelligence. In short, it's a technology that transforms unstructured video data into data that can be detected, extracted, classified, cataloged, in essence, giving structure to your unstructured data. Hope that answers your question, Dan.
Yeah, very much so, Mohammed. Thank you for that. And I think it's a really interesting perspective that it's sort of not just looking at the security implications, but the competitive advantage as well. So my follow-up question there for you is, would you mind describing the technology advantages of using AI applications on computer vision in perhaps some different industries? Well, I mean, there's a lot of people on the line that subscribe to SME magazine, coming from a range of different industries: finance, retail, manufacturing. So any examples would be extremely helpful.
Absolutely. So let me tell you the lay of the land. So there are about 1 billion cameras recording 24/7, whereas only about 30% of that is ever really seen by command and control centers, or ever actually displayed in command and control centers. And only about 1% is ever really seen by human eyes, and that too for health and safety compliance or investigating an event. But this is where BriefCam differs itself, because we believe that there's so much more value that we can add, because this 99%, which is recorded, kept for as long as the retention period is of a particular organization, and then those insights are scrubbed away and never seen again. Whereas what we say is you can add value to investigating events even faster. We could alert you on unexpected behavior. We could help you with traffic optimization, with resource planning. We could improve consumer behavior and demographics, improve upon guest experience. If people enjoy your environment, they'd be more inclined to return. And then, of course, with public health and safety compliance still being at the forefront, we can help you with that. You see, the beauty of AI is that it benefits all industries. AI using computer vision and machine learning and deep neural networks have the capability of improving processes across all verticals. But the usability of AI is definitely industry vertical based. Let me paint a picture for you. I always say law enforcement is more of a visual customer. They can catch the perpetrator. They want to catch the perpetrator in real time as the situation develops. And as the situation develops, and what they would want to do is want to know who, when, where, and how the perpetrators conducted the crime, and let's bring them to justice. Historically, video analytics was initially aimed at security operators and investigators to provide them with the right information at the right time and in an effective and consumable format. On the flip side, most large retailers are already using some sort of rudimentary data gathering and aggregation tools, but their business needs are evolving. They need more out of the system, and that's where they're turning to us with our business intelligence capabilities, so that they would simply apply video analysis to their existing infrastructure, transforming their existing raw data into critical intelligence, and would serve their customer experience objectives to understand consumer behavior and trends. So you have law enforcement in the security industry who would want insights on hotspots, crowding, traffic patterns to improve their citizens' well-being. And on the flip side, you have retailers who want to map their customers' journey, understand their movement patterns, conduct unique visitor analysis, gather ROI information on their latest marketing activation, and turning surveillance from a traditional cost center to a profit center. Two very different verticals with very different objectives, fulfilled by the same platform, using computer vision with their existing surveillance infrastructure. And this is how AI benefits people from different verticals. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. What we've seen in our research and the trend analysis, especially for the GCC countries, I mean, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, and the UAE, is that a lot of the governments and organizations are looking into the future and investing heavily in building local resources, especially in the tech field. Do you think that the region, the Middle Eastern region, has the human capital to cater for research and development? And in particular, down that stream, what's in BriefCam's roadmap?
Right. So as a private company, we can't comment much more on disclosing about our R&D and the financial information, but we can tell you that BriefCam was acquired by Canon Group in 2018. While BriefCam remains a standalone company, it continues to deliver industry-leading video and analytics solutions. We enjoy the support of our parent company, and as well as close collaborations with our innovative companies with the Canon Group. So BriefCam with its is a global company with R&D presences worldwide, and we have a local team with our sales and sales engineering, along with delivery and support, based right here in the UAE, and we cater to the Middle East region. I'm literally sitting in Saudi Arabia as we speak, and the region as a whole remains our main focus. We're quite excited about what the region has to offer and the full potential that the region holds.
Fantastic, thank you. Now, having heard from the vendors themselves, let's hear a little bit from who actually installs BriefCam and other AI applications. System integrators are client-facing and vendor-facing, and they're normally in the inquisitive situation to try and make ends meet in the budget-conscious way. They recommend technologies, design solutions, build them and maintain them, and there's a lot of loads to carry in an industry that is changing rapidly. So let's explore that a little bit with Issam Shibani, the head of sales, pre-sales and business development for the Middle East and Africa. So Issam, welcome. My first question, just building on from some of the sentiments from Mohammed there, is the integrator workforce, especially when it comes to video analytics and surveillance, are they ready for AI deployment?
Well, thanks, Dan, and thanks, Mo. I think Mo said everything. There's not much left for us to discuss. Thank you for covering the subject, from your perspective quite nicely, what BriefCam can do. I'm gonna touch the subject from an integrator perspective. I want to take this back a bit to the basics. So if you look at systems integrators in the region and generally in anywhere, our job is, in a sense, to design, build, deploy, maintain these security systems for our clients. And this job is quite changing through the past few years and few decades. If you look at a system integrator 20 years ago, their specialty was more geared towards the analog side of things. Then IP cameras came into play, and IP cameras and complicated networks and all of those things. And then the integrators started doing more of hybrid systems, where they have a bit of a mix between analog and IP. And then fast forward a few years, you can say around the 2010s, 2011s onwards, these systems became more inclined towards the IP. And today, where we stand in the GCC in general, is that the migration between analog and IP is, let's say, almost complete. It's a big claim to say, but regulation has pushed the industry ahead, and most of these systems deployed are now IP. So analytics comes into play, and AI and computer vision comes into play. So normally, as we move towards IP, most of the systems integrators started hiring a different set of skills. So you started seeing electronics engineers, network engineers, electrical, CCEs, computer science, and all of those. And then today, where we stand is that most of the integrators, the vast majority of the integrators, hired from those different disciplines and try as much as possible to train them on how to deploy those systems. However, this might be a bit misleading, because even if you have all of those skills on board, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can deploy AI systems efficiently. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you can change them, upgrade them, configure them in an efficient way. And it also doesn't mean that you are in a knowledgeable position where you can go to your clients or to your consultants and recommend which type of systems they need to go with. So to answer you, back to the original question, I would say there are very few integrators right now that are geared to work in that environment. What's the difference between those who are equipped to work in AI and those who are not? I think that the key is that many of those integrators have hired the right skills when it comes to software. So you can see some integrators have full-on software departments. with skills that cater for a lot of the open source systems that the likes of BriefCam work with. Let it be CUDA or TensorFlow or any of those different tools that they have, in-house that allows them to work with the likes of BriefCam. And I think moving on towards the future, like I've told you about how things pivoted from analog to hybrid to full-on IP, I think we're in a phase now where we're going to have to pivot as integrators towards more of the AI space, where we have all of those skills on board, plus the software component that allows us to deal with the future.
Okay, thank you, Assam. So yeah, it's clear that the market for systems integrators is going to become more important. And I mean, the business case and examples that you've both shared already can give it incredible insights to the competitive advantage for focusing on something like this. However, on the other side of the coin is, do you think, Issam, that market decision makers, the C-suite, security practitioners, and even retailers, manufacturers, healthcare providers that are looking to have greater insights, do they understand the benefits of using AI-inspired technologies in the Middle East?
Well, this is a very debatable claim, and I can tell you from a personal experience in the past 10 years. I mean, let's look at those decision makers. Most of them come from either IT background or maybe different disciplines in information security. Some of them come from physical security background, not necessarily from electronic security background. So if you look at it from purely knowledge perspective, you can easily say that, yeah, most of those decision makers are not necessarily fully equipped to make decisions. However, you can flip the discussion from another angle. Today, if you buy an iPhone, or if you opt to buy an iPhone, it doesn't mean that you understand 100% all the processes that are happening on that device, but you still can think about what that device is supposed to do for you and what type of quality and performance specification you expect from it. Well, in our industry, it's not much different than that. When we talk about AI and these different applications, as Convergent/MVP, we have gone through this exercise with many of our clients, where you have to open your mind a little bit and you have to have a conversation with the client and try to show them what different problems these systems are solving for them. And then they start putting the ends together. And the challenge is that many of these decision makers get their feedback from sales teams sitting on the vendor side, with all due respect, Mo, but many of the sales teams that are there also have in their best interest to push their own products. So we always ask from our clients and the decision makers, all the way up to C-suite, all the way up to senior government officials, before you jump into the AI camera, and I want an AI camera, I want a fancy system, think about the challenges that you have and think about the problems that you genuinely need to solve. And then it's up to us and you to work together, and the vendors like BriefCam, to try and find the best ways to solve them.
Okay, thank you, Issam. Now, I think that's a really nice segue into the final part of this particular presentation and webinar. After essentially speaking to BriefCam and MVP, it would be a great opportunity to see some of this software in action. And we're particularly lucky that across the Middle East, there was one of the busiest events in the world over the last 6 months that just recently ended, which was Expo 2020. So MVP Tech, as I understand it, has deployed BriefCam in one of the busiest pavilions. And if you don't mind sharing the screen, it'd be great to see the case study and be shown in a live system. So over to you, Issam.
So actually,
and Mohammed, sorry, over to Mohammed.
No worries. Let me just share my screen. This will stop sharing screen. Do you want to continue? Yes. Okay. And let me just share my window. So let me know if everyone can see my screen. Perfect. So this is BriefCam. As I mentioned, we have a trifecta of 3 modules. So we have the review module, the respond module, and the research module. So let's start with the forensic side of things, the who, when, where. And let's go into the review module and let's paint a picture of exactly what we're able to do. So what happens in BriefCam is the first thing you'll see is our video synopsis software. This is our award-winning software that truncates the time. You see here you have a video with 90 minutes of footage with 3,488 objects, and you have all the objects displayed within 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Now you can see that we're able to remove all the dead space between these objects. So you have something that appeared here at 10:03. You have a truck that passed at 9:57, and we don't want you to waste 6 minutes watching the dead space between the 2 objects. But this is where the fun begins, because now what we're able to do is we're able to then distill this video. So what I'll do next is, let's say the person of interest that we were looking for is actually driving a red car. Then I don't need to see trucks and buses. So what I'll do is I'll just go into my class module. I'll pick cars. I'll click on apply, go into my color palette and click on the color red. And automatically the software, the AI using computer vision, has distilled this video. From a 19-minute video, I'm able to show you all 272 cars that appeared on the scene in a matter of 45 seconds. And this is the power of BriefCam, because now you've been able to, you don't need to watch hours of video. We give you the results in minutes, sometimes even seconds. But let's say if we wanted to know exactly, the person of interest was actually not even driving on both sides, but he was driving just going north, then all I do is take my direction tool, click on apply, and now you'll see all the 138 cars that drove north. And if I were to further distill this down, then all I need to do is, let's say, catch all the guys who are driving on the shoulder. Click on apply, and now you'll see the 37 red cars that appeared on the scene in 19 seconds in the last 90 minutes that broke the law and drove on the shoulder. So this is how easy it becomes for the operators, for the end users, to exact intelligence out of their existing infrastructure. Let me change the scene a little bit, where we could go into an office break-in situation where we didn't even know what this person looked like. All we had was the image of the back of her head. Now, because of the camera angle, we never really got to see her face. So face recognition never lit up. But we have a very powerful forensics tool called appearance similarity. As soon as I click on appearance similarity, all similar appearing objects with a red top and a black bottom actually were displayed. And now we can see that in some of those instances, her face was in the direction of the camera. So what I can do is then select all of those, attach this to one image, click on apply, and remove appearance similarity. And you can now see that she is a real person of interest, because she has been coming to our environment more than one occasion. She was caught across cameras. She was caught once over here, 5 times on this camera, and 6 times in this one. And if I were to play one of those videos, you can actually see that the face matching actually picked her up from the original video. Now that we know that she's a real person of interest, what we can then do is select all her images. And what I want to know next is, who's the insider threat? So at this point, I will use my proximity tool and say, show me any other objects as in other people who she was close to in threshold of 2 meters or 6 feet for a minimum duration of 15 seconds. And as soon as I click on apply, it takes me back to the original video we found her to be a person of interest, and you can clearly see that she spent more than 15 seconds, and she was in proximity of about less than 6 feet or 2 meters. So this is how easy it becomes for computer vision and AI to add intelligence. Now, moving forward is our respond tool. So what we can do is then create rules. And when I create a rule, I can then put it on, I can have 3 different types of rules. I can have real-time alerts, smart alerts with the most detailed amount of information gathered, and then we can have people counting alerts. So let's say we do smart alerts, for instance, and we call it FR. Now what I'm able to do is do facial recognition on any one of these scenes. And I'm able to then run this rule continuously, run it once, run it daily, or run it on a weekly schedule. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll run it continuously. And now I can add face recognition. I can say anyone that I'm interested in, for instance, the woman in red. I can just add that watch list onto the scene, and automatically when that woman in red, the person of interest, reappears on the scene, I'm able to create this rule and get live alerts based on someone who was a person of interest. Which finally takes me to our research module, which is our icing on the cake. And for this, I would actually like to show you the actual dashboard that we captured from, and let me, yes, stop sharing. And let me now just move to, give me 1 second.
Would you like me to share it more, or?
Yeah, I'm just looking for it. So yeah, if you have it up, if you can share it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay.
Great. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
All right. So as you can see, for 6 months, what Expo wanted to do was gather information. Swedish Pavilion joined another 190 countries in exhibiting at this historic event. And what they wanted to understand was, in this 6 months exposition in the Swedish Pavilion, they wanted to track and understand critical intelligence about guests, from trending visitor demographics to segmentation to the most popular visit times, the days, the weeks, and to measure what all of these different traffic trends and patterns and peaks to drive impactful decision making. So as you can see on the dashboard, you can see that they received 1.1 million visitors. This was actual data that was captured using BriefCam. On average, the hourly visitors were 339. The daily visitors were 4,000 visitors, and on an average month, they were receiving 190,000 visitors. March was their busiest month, and their peak hours were 5 p.m. So we then further distilled the demographics, and we said these were the number of women that appeared on the scene using our AI technology, and then we also distilled how many men appeared on the scene, what were the busiest times, what was the average daily number of visitors. A bit of a surprise was it wasn't the weekend, but Wednesdays were the most busiest days for the Swedish Pavilion. And lastly, if you look at the bottom, the visitor trend, we gave them a monthly trend of exactly how many visitors they could expect on a monthly basis. So in essence, we were able to give them all of this data. So in the future, they can take data-driven decisions based on past behavior. So they were able to, the fully integrated video solution enabled the pavilion to drive operational intelligence, to accelerate security investigations, transforming their video surveillance into actionable intelligence. With that, I will hand it over to my esteemed partner Isam, who will walk you through his experience from an SI perspective of how they help the Swedish Pavilion in meeting their goals and objectives. So over to you, Isam.
Thanks, Mo. So thanks for sharing this, actually, and thanks to those kind gentlemen and fine people that allowed us in the Swedish pavilion, that allowed us to use this data. Because unfortunately, we have had so many deployments using BriefCam in law enforcement, in malls and retail, and in major events other than Expo that we are not allowed to talk about. But this pretty much sums up the power of this system. The system in Expo was made of basically access cameras on the edge. And we always urge our customers and our friends in the market to opt for quality cameras when they want to do AI, because that's the first ingredient that you need to be able to extract the metadata. The beauty about BriefCam, so far it's the perfect tool really to extract metadata from good quality video. And then package it in a nice package like Mo showed you a bit ago in the demo. So we had nice cameras, access cameras on the edge. And then you had BriefCam and Milestone Systems as the main VMS, and then BriefCam as the main analytics application on the head end of the system. And the idea was we used this opportunity to help the Swedish pavilion understand different elements that work mainly around the crowd management. BriefCam does really well in several kinds of environments. The application likes movement. So when you have cars, when you have people, when you have bicycles, trucks, pets, whatever that is, that's where you start getting action and information moving around. So they needed to understand, in particular, the demographic of people who are accessing the pavilion. And they wanted to understand what are the peak times of this access so they can plan as well their staffing requirements during those times. Their security requirements, their staffing requirements. They also have a lot of high profile VIP guests. They want to know who is accessing the pavilion and when. So if they have a certain picture of a certain VIP that's very well known in the country and in GCC come into Expo and is approaching the pavilion, they want to be notified because the FR system in BriefCam can pick it up and provide an alert on that. So all of these elements and much more was basically on live basis. As you know, the cameras are picking up people. They were picking up this information, converting it into metadata and then to trends. And then 1 or 2 weeks of the Expo operation, we started to have full-on visibility about certain behavior of crowds, like at what times they like to come and when do they like to come and how much time are they spending in different parts of the pavilion itself. So it all came nicely together, and by the end of Expo, we had 6 months of data. And data for us is a gold mine, and for our clients is a gold mine, because imagine this kind of information in a mall or in a public street or in an airport. Imagine you can understand, instead of having a Swedish pavilion, you have a retail shop XYZ or a restaurant XYZ, etc. Imagine you have those on a big scale. How much information you can gather, and in a very, very accurate manner about all of these things. So that's the power of the software and AI. And again, to be able to do a project like Expo, we had different tiers of colleagues engaged on it. We had a project manager that managed the project for the Swedish pavilion. We had 2 gentlemen with him one is a software engineer and the other is a electronics engineer who actually managed the installation, managed the configuration of BriefCam. And within 2-3 days, basically, we had the system up and running. It's very easy to use. It integrates seamlessly. It's an open source system. So regardless what kind of VMS you have, you're most likely going to have integration available with BriefCam. So that's the whole subject in a nutshell, really. Thank you, Mo.
Thank you.
Thank you both. So I think we've now got time for some questions. We've got about 10, 15 minutes left, and I can see a couple of questions filtering in. Anyone on the line, please do add the questions to the question pane, and we'll endeavour to ask them to Mohammed and Issam, and we can crack into them now. So, firstly, I'll start with Issam as an integrator and installer. We hear AI used frequently, machine learning, neural networks, and you've referenced AI throughout the BriefCam software and the presentation. Where is the AI in these systems? And please don't be shy about kind of deep diving under the hood. We've got a lot of technical people on the call that are interested in accuracy, system efficiencies, false alarms, and things like that. So if you can provide any insight to what you mean by AI and how it's used in this software.
Well, I'm not going to be shy about it, and I'm going to have to be brutally honest about it as well. Most of the stuff that we have been discussing during this nice webinar, and what most, let's say, vendors in this space refer to, is not artificial intelligence in its academic sense. It's more of pattern recognition. It's using a lot of open source tools that look at the images in the video and analyze what's happening on the pixels, basically on those images. Let it be an image or a video. They look at each frame, and then they look at the pixel changes, and they extract information from those pixel changes and those images. And then they take this information and they tag it with certain, elements, like Mo was showing you cars that are red, or females that are, wearing red tops and black bottom, whatever that is. So they tag, the intelligence is tagging the right thing or the right object with its right description, and then training the system on how to learn it over a period of time. So that's a lot of intelligence that goes into these systems. And that's a lot of work in the back end, in collecting all of those information. And then there's a lot of work on the front end so that, Mo can show us these nice dashboards where everything is summarized. So it's a lot of pattern recognition. It's a lot of image and video analysis. And we're becoming increasingly very active and very good at doing it. And the vendors like BriefCam are opening up these systems for us to really work with them seamlessly. But artificial intelligence, in a sense of having something like a robot that's a robot that walks and talks and is your personal psychiatrist. No, we're not yet there, but we're making progress.
Okay, thank you, Issam. I mean, the term artificial is definitely overused in our industry massively, but I'd be kind of terrified to see how long doing all of the stuff you see in this dashboard might take without the support of the software. It would take a very, very long time to firstly record it, but then analyze it. So yeah, artificial might be the right word to use there. Just building on the question there, one question has come in here, and I'll pose it to Mohammed. It says, in percentages, how reliable is the software using analytics against false alarms? And he gives a good example in the question where it says in low lighting, rain, and things like that. How do you make sure that the system itself is fairly efficient and reduces false positives, false negatives, and things like that?
Absolutely, Dan. So we aim for 95% and above. No system out there is going to say we're 100% confident, because no one can deliver on that promise. We all aim for 95% and above, with a false alarm rate of 98%, or false recognition rate of 98% and above. Therefore, we are extremely accurate. And one of the reasons why BriefCam enjoys its reputation is no one else can do what we do with the accuracy that we do. I think as part of that question, there was also a part about animals and how accurate we are about animals versus people. And if I were to actually steal the screen again, I'd like to actually demonstrate of how we can even, we have a class called animals that we can actually display. So
yeah, of course, go for it.
Let me share my screen on that one. Yeah, there it is. So if you can see if you can see my screen, I'm sorry, everyone else is, yeah, perfect. So what you have is a street scene right here, and you have a very busy street scene. And in this one, this was a real case in the US. The police was notified that when they were looking for that person of interest, the neighbor's dog was barking. So police picked up on that and they said, oh, could you describe the dog? And he said, yep, the dog looks like so and so and so. So very quickly, the first thing the police did was go back into our software, click on the filter animals, click on apply. And now what the computer vision has done is actually remove all cars, people, any other objects that were captured on the scene. And now you have nothing but animals, dogs, birds, cats walking around, and maybe a couple of rats as well. So the software is very, very powerful the way that it is. And I've demonstrated this feature to even some of the law enforcement customers in the Middle East who particularly asked for this in a meeting, and it's a great seller for us. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I'd certainly agree. It's that 95% threshold of accuracy is a number that I see frequently with a lot of organizations and academics as well. It's almost impossible to get 100% accuracy every single time with the amount of variables in a system and things like that. We might get there one day, but yeah, very, very interesting that you can see all of the animals and floating around on screen as well. I've got a follow-on question for Issam, and it's coming from the audience here, and it's about how easy is this type of software to install or configure and use? Can any sort of use case be applicable for something like BriefCam?
So it takes a bit of training, I would say, to begin with. These types of systems are not something that you can take out of the box and master in one day. You have to invest a bit as a systems integrator in training engineers on how to deploy them. Now, the good thing about BriefCam in particular is that, as I already mentioned, answering another question, is that it's open source. So the most common video management systems in the market, like Genetec, some Milestones, and Digiforce and such, the platform is seamlessly integrated with them. So it is not very difficult to install. However, what we always tell our clients, our partners, our friends in the market is that BriefCam is very sensitive when it comes to the design phase. So when you select your hardware, when you want to identify how you're going to use the software, that's where you need to put in a lot of effort to understand what are you going to use BriefCam for. And then your installation, if you get that right and you get your hardware right, your installation will be seamless and easy, and you shouldn't go through any problems. But if you start with buying the Ferrari to go to work, it's gonna disappoint you a little bit. So it has to be designed in the right way, and it can be used in the right way, installed in the right way with no issues.
You know, Sam, as they say, right? If you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, good one.
Exactly. And just one follow-on question there for you both is: are there any minimum requirements for the level of bandwidth or camera quality that is just a sort of baseline for this type of software to be installed?
Mo, would you like to answer that?
So in terms of camera quality, so anything 4 CIFs and above, we're able to provide basic analytics. So we could do the man, women, child, and all of that. For facial recognition, we advise to be 1080p and above, Super HD.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. I hope that helps with the questions coming there. I think it will. So I've got a couple more questions left before we wrap up. And the penultimate question is around the dashboarding. Are the dashboards able to be customized, Mo?
Absolutely. We actually believe in teaching you how to use these dashboards, because at the end of the day, let's say if you're a mall customer, your needs are going to be evolving, your needs are going to be changing, you're going to want more sort of reports. And especially one of our customers told us something really funny. They moved their cafeteria from one floor to the other, and everybody was complaining about the fact that it takes too long. So the security guy said, how long does it take? So he used our analytics and put in a people counting queuing time sort of a report together, and 12 seconds. It only took them 12 seconds to wait for an elevator. He's like, that's not enough for me to change the cafeteria. So definitely, we want you to learn the system. We even have a training course in place for you to do that. But if you still want us to do it, we do have a basic custom dashboard. We could create it for you from scratch with 6 widgets, or if you have a more advanced need, we can always create that for you with 10 widgets or more.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I think we've pretty much asked most of the questions from the audience members there. So what I typically like to do in these webinars is sort of give both of you 20, 30 seconds each, just to summarize. And typically what we do here is, for an organization that is interested in this particular software or package, what would a good business case be? How would you sort of demonstrate competitive advantage, and why would you recommend investing in something like BriefCam? And yeah, I'll start with Issam, if you'd like to summarize and potentially answer that question.
So I think we have a very nice opportunity at our hand at a nascent stage in this technology, and we're still just starting to explore how powerful these things are. We have a good opportunity to start talking to different stakeholders, not just security or not just operations. We have an opportunity to generate a lot of metadata and start having conversations with HR, with marketing, with operations, with security, with the C-suite level, and provide the wealth of this data to them, and provide the depth that this data can give them and enhance their decision making. We also have an opportunity to change all of our investments in what was like a purely cost center in security into a profit center, by being able to capitalize on this data using tools like BriefCam, now that we're at a stage in tech that we can afford to do that. This is my last take on it, and this is what I recommend always my closest clients, all the way to C-suite, is that just look at these systems as a resource, look at them as an investment rather than as a cost, just to satisfy simple compliance.
Thank you, Issam. And Mo, what about yourself?
Absolutely agree with Issam 100%. We are a unique platform approach where we can work across silos. So most traditionally what happens is security systems do security. C-suite wants reports and they get reports from every other source. Rarely do you find the crossover between the two, where we cater to a broad spectrum, where we could help security. Of course, we could help them with forensics analytics. We could help them with real-time alerts on abnormal behavior. But when it comes to the C-suite, we can actually gather all that data, combine it, and then they could actually take data-driven decisions across silos, making it a very innovative and extensible platform with a very flexible architecture, whether it's a deployment that you just need in one location or you need a citywide deployment. Both are pretty much capable, and the fact that it is the quickest time to value and it has the lowest total cost of operations is just a little cherry on the pie.
Thank you. Thank you for the summary, guys. And I can see more questions coming in, but I think the best thing to do here is 100% explore the websites for BriefCam and for MVP Tech. I can just see, sort of in my mind's eye, the the way in which these types of technologies could be deployed and leveraged in retail, oil and gas, and tons of different other industries as well.
And the answer is yes to that, Dan. We do have an oil and gas customer, and I'll be happy to take it offline later on.
Perfect.
Right.
Well, thank you both so much for presenting and for answering the questions. And once again, apologies for the delay in starting the webinar, but I truly hope that everyone on the line enjoyed the next installment of our Security Middle East magazine panel session. For anyone interested, please do explore the BriefCam website and MVP sites, and I'm sure you'll be able to reach out to both of the presenters offline as well. But thank you to Issam and to Mohammed, and thank you for everyone for joining, and we hope to see you all very soon.